In this video, we are going to cover 8 tips on how to start running and stay running. You see, once upon a time, this was me. Yeah, hilarious. Peak dad 5,000, whatever that means. Basically, I thought running sucked. Here, let me unpack that for you. I thought running sucked. But then here's me 2.5 years later, doing the one thing I told myself I would never do: run a marathon. So how did I get there? Well, it is a long story full of jokes for another day. But basically, in summary, I started running when COVID hit. I didn't absolutely hate it at first, and then I didn't dislike it so much. It kind of grew on me. And suddenly one day I woke up and it was a part of my personality. Now, here I am on the YouTubes to share what I learned and to help other people learn how to start running and stay running. On to the tips. Tip number 1. So tip number 1 is focused on the stay running portion of the start running and stay running equation. And the reason why is historically, I've never had a problem starting a running journey or starting a fitness journey. I've had a problem staying with it. And so this will also apply for anybody making New Year's resolutions. It is that time of year. So I think this tip is applicable. That tip is cut something out. So if we're going to add running and we're going to our lives, then we need to go into our lives and find something that it's going to replace and cut something out. See, historically also, I haven't done a good job of doing this. I still did everything that I would normally do. I watched Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max. I still play with my kids. I still scrolled on my phone at night. I did everything as usual. I just added running. So I didn't cut anything out. Or so I thought. What I was actually cutting out was sleep. Now, I knew in theory I was cutting out sleep when I was waking up at 5:30 in the morning to go for a run or to go to the gym. From a macro level, I wasn't really aware of what was happening to me. It's like having a newborn baby. And also, it's nothing like having a newborn baby. I just make stuff up all the time, but I'm gonna run with it. Follow me on this. You're running on adrenaline with newborns until about 6 weeks in, the adrenaline wears off and then you start hallucinating or losing your mind. Well, for my fitness journey, when I'm running, it's like March. I'm not hallucinating, I'm not losing my mind, but what happens is I wake up one Wednesday morning, it's cold outside, I don't feel like running, I decide to sleep in. That week, I only run, say, 4 days instead of 5 days. The very following week, it's like a Thursday, same thing, and I decide I'm gonna sleep in. I've now given myself permission to do 4 days a week. That's kind of what I do. I run 4 or 5 days a week now, right? And then maybe I get a cold the following week and I only make it 3 times. So now I'm running 3 or 4 times a week. Life gets busy. You know how it goes. The snowball gets bigger 1 to 2 times. It's June. No summer body in sight. Wah, wah, wah. All that stuff. I beat myself up. I eat too much, I drink too much, and I am not merry. What ends up happening? What's the point? What happened here? I cut sleep out until my body could no longer go. Then I added sleep back in, and I cut the thing out that I added most recently, which was my fitness journey. So this time, in order to make it work, what I did was I went into my life and I found something and I cut it out. And what I cut out was all my scrolling on the phone. I thought I was doing this for like 15 minutes in my head when I laid down. Sometimes it was like 30, 45, maybe even an hour. So now when I go to bed, I actually go to bed and I get sleep. And this is super important because what I later found out is I'm putting stress on my body when I lift weights, when I run, when I work out, when I add the fitness. So my body needs more sleep to recover, because recovery is when we burn the fat. Recovery is when we build the muscle. Recovery is when we get faster. So with sleeping less and our body needs more sleep, it's no wonder why I always fell off. That was winded. I talk a lot. Cut something out. Okay. Tip 2. Tip number 2, run slower than you think. Okay, so when I was first starting, the guy told me, the stranger, I did not take candy from him. He said, running hard is hard work. You probably shouldn't do it. Run easy. Now this had no appeal to me because at the time, he didn't know this. I have a 7-year-old who lives in my heart. We'll call him Andy. And Andy loves to run full send to like the next mailbox and race everyone all the time for no reason. And he also has road rage. What I did later find out that this gentleman was correct after listening to like 4,540 podcasts from expert coaches and athletes. I found out the number one mistake that most runners, beginning runners, make is that they run too fast, especially in their easy runs. Now, I was able to identify and look at 2 places where I was doing this. The first one was at the gym. So I was a gym bro. at once upon a time, lifting the weights. I'd look over and I'd see all the people on the treadmill doing treadmill-y things and running. And I would think, man, I need to do that for, they say cardio, right? Because I want to live to 100. And so like twice a month for 10 minutes, I would run on a treadmill because this is the magic number I thought that I was going to have to run to live to 100. And so I would go over to the treadmill and what do? What number am I going to push on the treadmill? 10? Am I going to max it out? No, not a chance. I have no interest in that. Am I going to run at a 5 or a 4 and do the awkward walk jog? I ain't no bitch, right? No, I'm going to pick number 7. I'm going to pick right in the middle, right? This is what it's called the gray area. Not that gray. Basically, long, boring story short, you don't want to run in the gray area. You get no physiological benefits or adaptations. You're not getting faster. You're not losing any weight. Nothing great is happening. You're just kind of burning some calories. So that was the first one.
The second way I made this mistake was that when I understood that I should be running at a perceived easy effort, my perception was off. And what I thought was easy wasn't actually truly easy. As you can see, I am talking to you. I should be able to talk to you at a conversational pace. We should be having a conversation. We are having a conversation right now. But I was going a little bit faster and still calling it easy. Because now as I pick up the pace, I'm starting to get a little bit out of breath. And I can still say some sentences. So I thought, yeah, this is easy. 8 minutes, 30 seconds. 8 minutes, 45. Whew, this is easy. But truly easy pace, I should be able to have a conversation and say a paragraph. When I finish my run, I should feel like I should be able to keep going. I'm not going to, because I have a job, responsibilities, children, things to do, but you know, I could. So run slower than you think.
Tip number 3, listen to content. Audible, Spotify, your boy on YouTube. Jokes aside, you actually don't have to listen to anything. Technically. And some people will recommend that you don't listen to anything because it's safer if you're running around the neighborhoods and you'll be able to hear cars coming to and fro. And also you'll be able to pay attention to your breathing and what's going on in your body, and you'll have a better gauge of how hard you're running. If you like that, if you want to raw dog it, by all means do it. Go out into the trails, run in nature. That's awesome. And if you really like doing that, spoiler alert, you may be a closet runner. You're going to be snorting running shoes and injecting Morton gels in no time. As for the rest of us, I like to disassociate with hardcore sad boy angst, according to my Spotify. And there's 3 reasons why I like to listen to content. Number 1, it makes the time go by quicker. And so if I'm listening to my favorite podcast or some songs, that 30-minute run feels like 15 or 20 minutes. The second reason I like it is because there's a weird association thing going on. Like, I enjoy listening to my favorite podcasts, and I happen to be running, just really like jogging. So I think I kind of like jogging. I don't know. It works. The third reason why I really like it is because it's motivating. There are some days like that I don't feel like going out for a run, especially if it's an afternoon run. I'll be at home with the kids or like doing some dishes, and I know I have a run on the schedule. I just don't feel like doing it. Well, I do feel like always listening to my favorite podcasts, right? So I feel like that sometimes gets me out the door to start my run. And once I get running, then it's really a breeze. Tip number 4, run for 10 minutes a day. 10 minutes a day. That's it. And you're a runner. You don't have to run a marathon. You don't have to buy a headband or sweatband or do anything that you think a runner may be and I say 10 minutes just because I did 10 minutes. For you, it could be 5, could be 20 or 30. And if you can run 20 or 30 and it doesn't bother you at all, especially if you're doing tip 2 and tip 3 where you're running slower and you're listening to content, then do that. You're in a really good place. The time doesn't matter. It's just that you're actually doing it and building a habit. For me, that was 10 minutes. That was my magic number because 10 minutes felt like a long time. As I was saying earlier in my gym bro days, like I would try to run twice a month for 10 minutes. And for the first 3 or 4 minutes, it felt like an eternity. And I was counting every second. But if I could get a second win, then I think I could make it to 10 and then maybe 15. So that was my starting point. Your starting point may be different. The point is just to start at some number that's comfortable for you enough that you can do that every day. Tip number 5, gradually increase the amount of time that you run each week. So for me, my first week I ran 10 minutes a day. The second week was 15 minutes a day. The third week was 20 minutes a day. And the fourth week was 30 minutes a day. Now, they say to do this, the experts, they say to do this because it reduces the risk of injury, because you're gradually putting more stress on your body versus going 0 to 60 and getting injured. This is not why I gradually increased. I gradually increased the time that I was running because I didn't like to run. I didn't like running. I like running now, but I didn't at the time. So I was looking to put in the least amount of effort as possible. I think you'll find, as I found, that the more that you increase the time, what you used to run goes by in a snap. Not that kind of snap, but you know what I mean. Tip number 6, we are going to take one run at the end of the week and add a little bit extra time. This is going to be called our long run. So I guess I should have just called this tip add a long run, but I guess whatever, that's a long run, that's what it is. So for me, the first long run that I did was in the 4th week. So I was up to 30 minutes a day. Now I could have just added 10 minutes or 15 minutes to this long run, but Andy, a little 7-year-old in here, he wanted to go full send. So we went an extra 30 minutes. We went an entire hour, and it was laborious. It was an event. It felt like a long run. However, the next week, I went on a 30-minute run. It went by really quick. I found out later that elite athletes do this, and people training for marathons and half marathons, eventually I did this, is the long run becomes a staple run in my weekly mileage. So when I'm trying to run a half marathon, I'm out there running 2.5 and 3 hours for a very long time. And then on my regular weekly runs, I might run for an hour, and that doesn't feel so long at all. Tip number 7, subscribe to the channel. Sub up, baby. Oh my God, did you really just go there? Yes. Seriously? Seriously. I can't with you. Would you let me make my point? Loser. Okay, listen to me. When I first started running, I listened to so much YouTube content. Everything running. Running shoes, types of runs, training, everything running. And even though this channel is just getting started, it's a very young channel, its sole purpose is to help people who are getting into running, to start running, to stay running by sharing what I have learned. So come along to the cinematic voyage, the cinematic odyssey that is Midlife Runner. As you can tell, I am a bit of a neurotic mess, and there are a lot of jokes. Some of them a little less obvious. I can't believe I've made it this whole entire video without saying just the tip. So on to tip number 8. I'm still not subscribing. Tip number 8, move in the unforced rhythm of grace. Yes, I went ethereal on you. I know I went spiritual, but you need to surf that wave, baby, because none of us are going to the Olympics. Don't tell my kids that yet. They don't know. I'll break the news to them later. But what's the alternative? Perfectionism, all or nothing. I can tell you from experience that has not served me very well. I learned over the years to exercise some gentleness. It's okay to miss a day. It's okay to miss a couple days. Life is going to happen. Work will get busy. Kids will get sick. Things will happen. Not really that big of a deal as long as I just continue to turn the doorknob and get out the door. Next episode is going to be equipment essentials. I don't know why I keep doing air quotes. I will say, spoiler alert, I am somewhat of a cheap ass, or, I'm sorry, that's not politically correct, a bargain buyer. So you don't need much to get started running. But if you do like to spend money, some people do, and you're made of money, you got some Bitcoin in the bank, some Doge, and you want to spend like a Bezos, I've got some suggestions that help me. They're really awesome. So stick around for that. I have a problem with pointing. I point a whole lot, so please don't take offense. I'm not trying to be rude, but it's just something that I do. Thank you for watching this neurotic mess, and I appreciate you. Stick around for the next one. Love you. Bye-bye.